Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Championship Leadership Podcast, and I'm excited to have Estie Rand here today. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we're just talking offline. We're all kind of working from home with the coronavirus going on, and she's got 5 children, and one literally tried to burn down the house on her, but didn't succeed. I don't know if I'm supposed to be letting that out or not, but very interesting story. I'm like, man, I bet there's a lot of those stories going on right now. So thank you so much, though, for being here. I appreciate it.
I'm excited.
Yeah. The first question I always like to ask to kind of kick off our conversation is, the name of the podcast is Championship Leadership. So, you know, what comes to mind for you, or what does championship leadership mean to you when you hear it?
To me, it means being a leader of leaders. I find that most leaders are leaders of followers, right? Kind of managerial, but they give orders and people need to follow them.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the perception is, a good leader is someone who can get people to follow them. And I think that is one level, right? And that's kind of like a baseline. But to me, real leadership is to be a leader of leaders, is to cultivate excellence in all of those who you are guiding, where they may not be doing exactly what you're saying or what you're wanting, and you're not giving a whole lot of instruction. You're giving general direction, vision, passion, building others so that they are leading through you, respectively. That's what leadership means to me.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, leaders of leaders, because I think a lot of people do look at it as like, yeah, well, they're leading the followers, but I like it. The next step, the next level of that being that championship leadership to lead other leaders. So where is your path taking you? Like, how have you gotten from where ever you started to where you are today and what you're up to? Maybe you could just tell the listeners a little bit more about yourself and your journey to where you're at right now.
Sure. So I built a 6-figure business consulting firm, profit, in under 2 years with 0 in ad spend, while, raising my 5 kids. And it was definitely an interesting journey getting here. It started about 10 years ago. Back in 2011, beginning of the small business boom, I was working as the CIO of a multinational nonprofit. I loved my boss, who was a leader of leaders, and I loved my job. And I had flex time, which at that time I had 3 little kids. And it was great until I hired a middle manager who was a leader of followers who hated me. And he was a moron. So, the feeling was mutual. We got along real well, you can tell. And he made my life like just absolute misery until I had to leave because I couldn't function. The environment became so toxic. And at that time, I had this dream of doing small business consulting. I was watching everyone like try to sell on Etsy or do massage therapy, or they'd be like in the coffee shop going to their friends like, I'm gonna sell cupcakes for $1. And it was like, oh my God, like you're all idiots. I've been running businesses profitably since I was 10 years old. And like I'm like a serial micro entrepreneur, like awesome. Never full time, always these side hustles. I've had tons of them. And I'm like, my degree is in business and marketing management from a business school in New York. And I'd be hearing all these people and looking at their ads in the local weeklies. And I'm like, I can help you. And I just had this burning desire to help them. But, I had 3 kids. I was the sole supporter of our family. My husband was still in school. And I was just like, I can't take that risk. So I took on a bunch of jobs, but I decided to try to launch it. And it worked. Like it started going. Again, in the beginning, I was a freelancer, right? Just that's how you start. And I partnered with people. There's some great stories there. Oh man. Some great horror stories, some great stories. And it grew slowly, but at this point we are multinational. We've got both clients and staff in 5 different time zones on a daily basis. We have about 20 people on our team, and we do everything I wanted us to do. We do strategy and implementation for micro businesses. So in this space, so a micro business to me, I categorize it as under $1 million in profit and anywhere from 0 to 20 employees, right? So solopreneurs, primarily service-based businesses. There are very few, I'm just going to be blunt for a moment, there are very few competent people in this space, because a lot of people start out there, and then if they're not good, they kind of stay there. And if they are good, they try to move into corporate where it's easier money. And my passion is just for the little guy. So we have a great niche because our
Yeah.
reputation precedes us. There are so few people who stick around here who are good. So thank God we're doing real well.
That's awesome. And yeah, I'm glad that you're being blunt. I kind of picked that up about you kind of from the beginning. So we're good there too. That's awesome. I love it. That's an incredible story. So what's the biggest, yeah, maybe I don't know. You mentioned there's plenty of stories, right? I love stories.
Yeah.
What have been some of the biggest challenges as a leader in going from like all your side hustles and micro businesses that you had to launching this? Now you have a team of 20 and leader of leaders. And what have been some of the challenges or the experiences that you've had inside of growing as a leader yourself?
Totally. So I'll tell you one horror story, and then I'll tell you a little bit of like heartwarming
Awesome.
stories. So the horror story happened way back, like close to the beginning, probably 9 years ago, 8. And so I'm just me, but I've got this vision of a full service consulting firm, right? But I'm not going to hire people. I don't have enough business for that. So I'm just partnering with people on different projects, right? So I get a client, and let's say we need a graphic designer. Right now we have a full internal design team, graphic designers, writers, programmers. But in those days, I just looked for people who I could trust, and I brought them into projects. So I'm at a trade show, and this guy has a booth, and his stuff is gorgeous, absolutely just really incredible, business marketing materials.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this guy I could partner with, I could work with him. It's going to be epic. So I get a client, and we're doing a rebrand, and I'm like, mistake number one, I'm like, I've got the perfect designer, right? I never worked with the guy, just saw his stuff, but I put my
Yeah.
stamp of approval on him.
Yeah.
Biggest mistake number one. So he's like, great, because my client trusts me. I trust this guy
Yeah.
completely
Whoops.
incorrectly. Yeah. And I bring him into the project. We start working on it, and we make the deal, and everything's fine. And his stuff is horrible. And I'm like, I don't even understand. I saw your stuff. I saw your work samples. Were they pretend? Like, I couldn't figure it out. And finally, I think 2 months in, revision after revision after revision, and the client's like, Estie, I trust you. If you like it, I like it. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't like it. And so finally we come out with something halfway decent, and I'm so confused. And it comes out, ready for this, that the guy that I partnered with had a partner. He didn't tell me. And right around the time I met him, like right before that trade show was when he broke up with his partner. He had been the more technical guy, and the partner had been the design guy. The partner was the creative brain,
Oh
and
no.
he was the technical brain, but he knew the design programs. He would always clean up the designs and ran all the technical back end stuff. And he's like, how hard can it be? Right? Like, I'm cleaning all, oh my God.
Oh no.
And that's why the stuff was terrible. At the end of the story, we had to like refund the client, and it hurt my reputation because then he showed it around and was like, Estie
Oh
Rand
wow.
did this. It was so bad. And I just learned from that, like, never, ever, ever put your stamp of approval on someone that hasn't proven themselves to you personally. Like, never do that. Now, if I'll recommend people that look good, but always, again, very straightforward. I met this person. This is what I've seen from them. This is why I like them. I have no other information. Do your own research. This
Yeah.
is what I can give you, as opposed to, yeah, he's great. No,
Right.
no, he wasn't.
Whoops.
Oh, man. And I think some of my best stories are not big, they're little. My best stories are I'll be in meetings sometimes for hours straight. And I run my company through WhatsApp because I like voice notes. I run like with some of my clients, I come in sometimes as like a temp CMO or a COO, and they run through Slack, so I got to use Slack. But for my team, I run it through WhatsApp because Slack, none of the apps that say they do voice notes properly for Slack. None. So anyone who's
Yeah.
listening to this, if you email me one that works, I'll be thrilled. But as far as I'm concerned, I run my company through WhatsApp. So we have a bunch of WhatsApp groups and chats, and if you work for me, you have to use WhatsApp. So so I'll be in meetings, and then I'll always check my WhatsApp in between because that's where all this stuff is going on. And I'll see like someone's asked a question, and like the team has just rallied to answer it, right? And they've like overserved the clients. It's like, oh, a client needs this. They don't know where it is. Yes, and by the way, one time Estie did that and that for a client. We should probably do that too. And he's like, okay. And, while I'm working, right, essentially,
Mm-hmm.
they're working and they're doing exactly what I would have done, overserving the clients, helping each other, working as a team. And I'm thrilled. Like, what I never wanted was that everyone would like wait for me,
Yeah.
and what I've managed to build is a group of people. Again, I aspire to be a leader of leaders, right? And when I see that my team leads, those are my absolute best moments. Like where someone like takes it on, it's like, yeah, I'll reach out to them, I'll get them this, once we did this, anyone have that? And like they pull it together and they do it, and by the time I space in, it's all done. I'm like, yes.
Yeah. Right.
Those are my
That's
best
awesome.
moments.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Thank you so much. Yeah, some great lessons there, and some great stories as well. So thank you. Um, who are some other championship leaders of leaders that have impacted you directly or indirectly, and really more so, like how have they? What is it about them as leaders that really have stood out, or maybe even that you've taken and helped to mold you and who you are as a leader?
Sure. So I think my last boss, at the last job I had, the CIO, he, like I said, he was a leader of leaders. Absolutely incredible man. And, you know, he built a team, myself included, where he cultivated us to be the best version of ourselves, right? He gave us the direction. He was always there to support us. If we needed something, we knew he had our back. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but he drove us hard. Like I was an employee, I was working 13-hour days. As a business owner, when you work half a day, that's 12 hours, right? That's half a day. But as an employee, I would work 13-hour days, and I was happy to do it, right? I was given the mandate, what needed to be done, and then I was given trust. I was given confidence. I was given the freedom to access whatever tools, resources I needed. I knew that he was available for me for support, but I was basically on my own, right? It was like, this is what we need to do. You tell me what you need to do, and I'll guide you.
Mm-hmm.
And that, and I'm not going to say we didn't have other guidance. And, one of the things that I still do today that I got from him is I double do my emails. Because again, I'm naturally blunt, kind of been this way for a long time. And it came out at some point that my emails were a little harsh. Sometimes people felt a little, you know, uncomfortable when I would send them. Um, and so one of the things he taught me was just like, and again, a leader of followers might say, you can't write like this,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
You need to write like this. And what he told me was just, Estie, before you send an email, read it and see what you can do to soften it. That was it. Again, it's direction. Read it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I still do that. I write my emails, my texts as well, right?
Yeah.
I write my emails, I write my text, and then I read it back and I say, wait, what can I do to make this nicer or cleaner or gentler or softer? And inevitably, I'm still, right, over a decade later, tweaking it. But we've gotten feedback that, like, at the level of professionalism or communications, I teach the same thing to my clients. It's Dale Carnegie principles, really, right?
Yeah.
How to win friends and influence people.
Right.
Kick off every email with gratitude or appreciation. And then if you're going to say something negative, look if you can say it without negative words. Instead of saying like, you messed that up, it's like, this wasn't done in this way, and we need it done in that way. Like, you know what I'm saying? Be more factual, not critical. And these are the kinds of tools that I got from him. Just an absolutely incredible man. I'm still in touch with to this day.
Are you? Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I just
Uh,
visited him a couple years ago, and when I was out there, because he doesn't live where I do, and I was visiting, and I just reached out. I was like, "Hey, I'm in town, and I'd love to see you." We just sat down for a few hours to chat.
that's great. Yeah, I love it. And we all have those people in our life, right? And well, hopefully we do. A lot of us do. And it's important to have those types of people that you can lean on and call on and go to and connect with as you continue to grow as yourself and a leader. And I love, what I heard you saying was, really, to be a championship leader, it really is a lot about like the little stuff, right? You don't really think too much about, and not that you're going to go and micromanage everything that they're doing and make sure that they're doing it properly. But at the same time, as things arise, it is as little as the details on, read your email before you send it off, and make sure that we soften it up, especially if your name is Estie Rand. So yeah.
Yeah, and also to genuinely care about your people. I think so many people look at work relationships as like, well, I'm doing them a favor. I'm paying their salary. They work for
Yeah,
me.
right.
They owe me. And I I consider it a favor when my staff work for me. Yeah, I'm paying them because they should be paid for their work, but they're doing me a favor, right? And they're people. And people always say I work with a fully virtual team. I always have. Um, He'll say like, how do you build teamwork in a virtual team, and how do you build loyalty in a virtual team? I said, you care about your people as people, right? Like when one of my staff was moving house, I was trying to send her food, but she's so organized that she was cooked, like she had like cooked and frozen meals for her family, like all the way up until the move. So
Of
like
course.
but I found out from her sister that the day of the move she hadn't planned for. I was like, yes. And I
Awesome.
sent her food for the day of the move and toys for the kids and like that kind of thing.
Yeah,
You know?
right. Absolutely. Yeah.
When I made a party for one of my kids, and it was like a holiday weekend when I was employed, my boss and all the executive team came. They stayed for the whole thing. Like
Yeah.
those are the
Yeah.
moments that create loyalty.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. That's great. What's maybe talk to us a little bit about, it's kind of a favorite question of mine. What's a turning point or a defining moment that you've had in your life, where kind of that fork in the road moment? And obviously you made the decision that you did, which has you where you are today. But, had you not, you could be somewhere completely different in life. Like, what is there a moment in time that really stands out that was really critical to where you are today and inside of your life, business, family, whatever it might be?
For sure. So since my headspace is all in like, 10 years ago when I started this,
Yeah.
I'm kind of like anchored there. And
Yeah.
there was a defining moment. So when I left my job as a CIO, I went looking for a new one, right? So I had side hustles. I actually, first I was like, I'm not working anymore. That's it. Like, husband, like, this is nice. Just figure out how to work and finish school at the same time. I don't care. Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. Like, I'm going to take care of the kids. I'm going to stay home. I'm going to be like a Susie homemaker. It's going to be so cute and so much fun because I've been working since I was like 16. So I'm home for like 2 weeks and I finish every project, everything that I've been sitting, and I'm bored out of my mind. And I started teaching these hip hop exercise classes. I
That's
was like, I am
awesome.
never not going to work. Yeah. So during that time, I was interviewing for other jobs, right? Like I realized at that point, I was like, I need to work. Like this isn't going to happen. So I had this dream that I'm harboring, but I'm not willing to go all in on it, obviously, because that would be too risky. Super risk averse person. And so I'm meeting with headhunters and I'm sending in my resume. I'm looking at the want ads. I'm looking for a job. And I met with this one headhunter who's a former McKinsey consultant, right? And my dream is business consulting. I'm looking at her like God, like, and she's doing headhunting from her living room. And I'm like, this is exactly like, you're running a small business, you're a McKinsey consultant. Like, I just idolize this woman. And she's interviewing me and she's professional and she's together. And at some point she looks at me and she's like, Estie, what's the dream? What do you really want to do? And so I'm like, I'm going to confide in her. I'm going to tell her what I want to do. And she's going to be
Yeah.
able to help me. And I'm all excited. And so I tell her, I have this dream of doing small business consulting and all these people, we want to sell cupcakes for $1. And I know I can help them. And I'm so excited. And I'll never forget this. She looks me straight in the eye. She said, Estie, no one will take you seriously. No one will hire you.
Really? Wow.
You need 20 more years of C-level experience before anyone would pay you for your advice. Yeah. So I broke.
Yeah.
I held it together, right? Like while I was there, I was like, oh, okay, thank you, so much. And by the way, she sent me out on interviews for C-level positions. Like, it's not like she thought I was an idiot, right? Like that was
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
and they were good jobs. But I remember going home that day and like these like little like things like stick in your mind. I remember standing by the window and the sunlight is streaming in And there's just tears streaming down my face because this woman who obviously knows how this works, I don't know what business consulting is. I don't know
Yeah.
anything,
Yeah.
right? What am I? I'm a four-woman employee. This woman who obviously knows how the world works, she's done exactly what I want to do, is telling me that I can't, my dream is
Yeah. Right.
completely a dream, right? Impossible, like completely. And I'm just broken. And I'm lucky I had great support at that time. I had friends, and my husband also is like, you know, she's old business, you're new business, she's small business, she's big business, you're small business. Like, don't listen to her, you know? So, but of course I did, which is why I just like, I tried to do my thing on the side. But I, I feel like there's a part of me that had to prove her wrong. I don't know how to explain it. It
Yeah,
was just
totally.
like, oh yeah, oh yeah, I
Yeah.
want to reach out to her now and be like, by the way, I talk about you a lot.
Yeah.
And by the way, you were wrong because
Yeah.
hundreds of people have paid me for my advice, and I
Yeah.
never got another C-level job.
Yeah.
Like I didn't. And by the way, I've added millions and millions of dollars in revenue and profit
Yeah.
for people since I started doing this. Um, but I think that moment, standing there crying, I feel like that was my defining moment. It was like,
Yeah.
okay, Estie, you're going to listen to her and you're going to give up on this dream and say, look, and listen, honey, la la land, and your husband's not going to get a job right now. And, you know, you're not going to not work either because you tried that for 2 weeks and you got bored out of your mind. So like, you're going to go and just get a job, and, you know, have more bosses and be at someone else's whim. Or are you going to try and do this and follow this burning passion and desire? And I think at that moment it was like, I'm gonna do this. And again, risk averse, especially when she told me it wasn't gonna work. I took on other jobs. At the same time, I worked for a business brokerage agency firm, and I worked for the Mobile Marketing Association, which is a multinational trade association in mobile marketing. But I dropped them both as my private practice started to grow. But to me, that was the moment of like, okay, you're going to let it go. You're going to listen to the naysayers. You're going to listen to this woman who clearly knows what she's talking about, that you'll never
Yeah.
make it, or you're going to try.
Yeah.
And I feel like I decided I'm going to try. And I
Yeah.
didn't decide to go all in, by the way. All I decided is I have to try. I'm going to
Yeah.
try. I don't
Yeah.
care what anyone says. I'm going to try.
I
And
love that.
and here I am.
That's great. And here you are. Now we got
Yeah.
to go find this lady.
I know.
We're
I
not
don't honestly
we're not going
remember
to
her name.
soften. You're not going to soften that conversation. I love it. That's powerful. And yeah, I mean,
I
a
really
lot
should
of
send
people.
her a gift. I
Yeah,
really
you
should thank
should.
her. No,
You
I
should.
should. I
Yeah,
should thank her. I'd be
absolutely.
like, what you said to
Thank you.
me
Yeah.
built that steely determination of I'm gonna try.
It drove you, which is, a lot of people would have crushed and like they wouldn't have gone after it, right? I mean, I think that's
Yeah.
the other fork in the road there, and it's awesome. Yeah, I would send her a big fruit basket or something.
I'm a big road less traveled person. It's one of my favorite poems from
Yeah,
Robert Frost. Although
yeah,
some of
me
the
too.
critics say like it doesn't mean what we all think it means, but I
Yeah,
don't care. It means what it
yeah,
means to me. But I tried it on a hiking trail this week because until a few days ago we were still allowed to walk outside. Now those are closed too.
yeah,
But I'm on this hiking trail and there's a fork in the road, and I'm like, let's take the one less traveled. Then it started leading off the side of a mountain, so we turned around.
yeah.
Sometimes
Sometimes there's a reason they're less traveled, right?
yeah, I'm like, I think no one goes this way because it doesn't go anywhere. Like it goes into bushes. Like it looks like a trail, but it's not.
Yeah. That's good. I love it. Thank you. One last thing here for you.
Sure.
If you had one thing that you could tell the listeners that would help them move forward if they implemented it today, what would that be?
So since we're on leadership, I would say don't be afraid to let your people fail. Don't be afraid to let them mess
Yeah.
up. And when they do, support them. You
Yeah.
want to build leaders. I want to be dispensable in my company with my clients. I don't need to be needed.
Yeah.
And I'm thrilled when people do things without me. If you want to have a business and a life, and you want to be a real leader, and you want to build the best in people, again, blunt, stop being so controlling and micromanaging. And it comes
Yeah.
from fear, right? What if they mess up? If they mess up, you'll fix it. Guess what,
Yeah.
honey? You've messed up too. And when you mess up, you fix it. Let your team make mistakes and support them and help them fix it when they do. Oh, we got some great mistakes people have made. Oh, wow. You know, like we've
Yeah.
got some great mistakes. And if you don't let them make mistakes and you don't support them through fixing it, they will need you for every tiny step they take
Right.
because they'll be afraid of messing up. And if
Yeah.
you allow them the space to make a mistake and you support them through fixing it, they can go without you.
Hmm.
You can have a life, you can build a business, you can it's a game changer.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I want everyone to know.
So important. Yeah. That's, yeah. Thank you for, very important. I believe in that 100%. Tell us a little bit about your 5-day marketing success challenge that's going viral and is a huge success. I want to hear more about this.
Oh,
The free
it's
gift
really
for the
fun.
listeners.
Okay. So I have an actually like a marketing program. So we've been doing marketing strategy with clients for, over 10 years now. And then it wasn't affordable to everyone because I have this passion for micro businesses, like I said. And so we turned it into a group program, but there were still people who are like, even the group program's too expensive. Can you make something for people that's cheaper? That's just kind of the foundational principles. So I said, yeah, I'll make a mini course, right? I'll make a 5-day mini challenge. It'll be like a $300 program, no problem. And so we made it, and it was super cool. Like we really distilled like the best of the best. And then, as a marketer myself, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna let the first 250 people in free. Um, everyone go sign up. And within 48 hours, we had 600 people in it.
Wow.
I was
Wow.
like, okay, I wasn't planning that. Like it just kind of like it started going. And I'm like, okay, guys, we got 100. We got. I'm like, I'm on social. Like I
Yeah.
put it out. I'm big on LinkedIn. I put it out on my Instagram, and I'm on stories, and I'm going like, oh wow, we've got 200 people. All right, guys, grab the last 50 spots. And I'm thinking we'll get like 200 something, and then I'll be like all excited. In the beginning, I had no idea. By the way, I had no idea how many people would get in on it.
Yeah.
And at the end of day one, I was at this conference. I couldn't keep checking the numbers. So I didn't know exactly where we were holding. So I'm like, I'm like trying to check in with my team, but it was a little messy because I was out in Denver at the time that this was launching
Yeah.
because, timing. But that's just when it was happening. And then I check in like 2 days later when I finally had time to like sit down and see what was going on. And there were 600 people in it. I'm like, oh, okay. And it was like still climbing. And then we shut it down like just for a few hours. Like 80 people got locked out. Everyone's like, no, I want to get out. I was like, you know what? Okay. Fine. I'm just gonna leave it open right now. I'm gonna leave it open.
Yeah.
And so we've left it open. The testimonials, they warm my heart. I actually have like a little WhatsApp group with myself. So like, because listen, as a business owner, I'm sure you know, and all the listeners knows, sometimes you get down, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's a critic, and
Definitely.
sometimes something happens, or you make a mistake, or someone makes a mistake, and I just go back. A lot of the testimonials come in just from the free challenge of like, people have taken it and they've used the sales pitch, which is day 4, to pitch people, and it's worked, right? Or they've used the avatar targeting module, which is day 2, and it's given them clarity on their person, and they've refined their marketing, they've stopped wasting money. Like, just incredible feedback. I think my favorite is like this guy who emailed us, was like, Estie, like, I've taken many paid challenges that weren't as good as this. Thanks so much for being free. And like, um, but right now it is still free. It will go behind a paywall. I cannot tell you when.
Yeah.
Whenever we have time, we're going to put
Yeah.
all those testimonials on the page. But right now it's free. So if people go to estierand.com/free gift, right now this is there. And
Awesome.
if and when we do put the paywall on it, something else cool will be there. So
Yeah.
there'll always be something cool and free there. That's helpful. But right now, that's the marketing success 5-day challenge, 5-day
Very
marketing
good.
success
Appreciate it.
challenge.
Yeah. And,
Totally.
um, you know, like she said, 4 to 6 weeks from now, when we get this thing shipped out, it may very well not be there any longer. But it sounds as though you still should take her up on it, no matter what it is, and so that you can get the great testimonials for yourself, just like all the others. So I appreciate you being here today, Estie. It's been great. It's been one of my favorite episodes for sure. Been awesome. So
Aw,
I just appreciate you being here.
thank you.
Yeah,
It was
you're welcome.
absolutely a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. So take care and have a great day.
Thank you.